What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So the time has come to predict Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Love this fight. The odds are the biggest gap as far as anything on the main card is concerned. Shavkat Rakhmonov is almost a 5-1 favorite.
Wow.
And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is sitting at about a plus 390 or a 4-1 underdog, essentially. Now, I think it's a little bit closer than the odds makers have it. I think they do have the right person as the favorite. For obvious reasons, Stephen Wonderboy is on the wrong side of 40. But I think this fight is going to be a lot more fun and a lot more competitive than a lot of people think.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I would have assumed it would be like a 2-1 or 3-1 thing, but it makes sense that Shavkat's the biggest favorite on the entire main card. There's a ton of great fights on this thing. This one sticks out to me as one of the really most exciting fights that we could see in the pay-per-view year. One thing I want to point out about this matchup is that we're dealing with the next generation. Shavkat Rakhmonov, for all intents and purposes, is the best 170 fighter on the planet right now. He just hasn't gotten his crown yet. And even though he's gotten a lot older, I'm still of the mindset that Wonderboy is one of the best 170ers on the planet. And when it comes to striking, there's really nobody else like him. Shavkat Rakhmonov is absolutely a warrior, and he has proven to us time and time again that he's a finishing expert. He's the next generation, and it's only a matter of time before he gets his belt. But if you're going to get to the belt at 170, you pretty much do have to go through Wonderboy Thompson at this point. And I really do think that Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to tap into the warrior spirit. And what do I mean by that? I mean that fighters are constantly trying to prove to the world that they are the best fighter in the world. But the most important thing they have to do time and time again, and it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you have to prove to yourself that you're the best fighter in the world. And Shavkat Rakhmonov has the opportunity to do that next weekend against Wonderboy Thompson by beating Wonderboy Thompson at what Wonderboy does best. I believe Shavkat Rakhmonov is seen as one of the best fighters at 170, but he's got to prove it to himself by going out there and out-striking the striker, out-wrestling the grappler, out-jiu-jitsuing the jiu-jitsu guy. And Wonderboy Thompson is the perfect opportunity for him to go out there and be arguably the most high-level striker that the UFC's ever seen. If not top one, he's definitely in the top 5.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to go out there to prove to the world, but more importantly, prove to himself that not only is he one of the best at 170, but he's also one of the best strikers that can take out one of the most lethal strikers in the game.
Yeah, that's an interesting take that almost essentially Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to make this fight harder for himself than it really has to be.
Exactly.
And, it's not easy to submit Wonderboy. Not very many people have submitted Wonderboy. It's obviously like a lot of people think, okay, if you can get this guy to the ground, you neutralize all of that great unorthodox and lethal striking that he possesses. And while that is the case, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has rounded out his game, and he's a complete mixed martial artist. But I kind of like that line of thinking that you were going down, because Shavkat Rakhmonov, if he goes into the cage and just immediately smothers Wonderboy Thompson, gets inside, takes him down, and grapples him for 3 rounds or until he gets a finish, he's going to get resounding boos from the crowd.
Right.
And he's not really the type of person or the type of fighter that lets the crowd affect him. But at the same time, he's a showman. He likes to put on a show. He likes to, and at 170 right now, you have to lay your claim if you want to fight for the belt, especially because he was offered the backup position at UFC 296 and he turned it down. So a lot of times when you turn down a backup position, the UFC will make you pay for it by waiting one more cycle and you don't get to fight for the title next.
Right.
So if he goes in there and he gets a decision victory against a Wonderboy and it's a boring fight, I could easily see the UFC putting Bilal Muhammad in there with the winner of Colby Leon. Who knows what will shake out? Maybe that fight's so competitive that they decide to run it back again. Right. So Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be looking for an emphatic finish. The guy has never been to decision in his entire career.
Right.
Every fight he's in, he wins by finish. And I think this one will be no different. My prediction is going to be that he gets a TKO finish against Thompson, but it's going to come probably at the end of the second round. Stephen Thompson's going to be all Shavkat can handle in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wonderboy wins the first round, because it's going to take Shavkat a minute to sort of figure out the movements and the unorthodox nature of the way that Wonderboy fights. And once he does, I think he's going to be able to land a big shot, which allows him to get inside in the second round. I think he'll score a takedown from there, and I think he's going to be very active with the ground and pound until we get a referee stoppage. So my final prediction is going to be TKO finish second round, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah, that's a great prediction. And when I say I think Shavkat's going to go out there and outstrike the striker, I don't mean he's going to abandon all grappling and all wrestling situations. He'll probably probably push Wonderboy up against the cage at one point of the fight or whatever. But I do think he's going to look to continue his undefeated, and not only undefeated, but 100% finishing rate that he's got right now. And the way he wants to do it against Wonderboy would be more impressive if he got a knockout than if he goes out there and submits him. Because even though people have no idea how difficult it is to actually submit Wonderboy Thompson, if you go out there and submit him, it doesn't look as impressive as if you go out there and knock out the Wonderboy. So Shavkat Rakhmonov is probably going to look to do that, because if you look at the sport and you look at the landscape of 170, it's stacked. There's a bunch of undefeated killers just like him in 170. And then there's also some big names and some loud personalities that can insert themselves and kind of, jump the line or take one of his title shots. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing inside the octagon and outside the octagon. And while I love Shavkat, I think he's undeniable and he will be a star, and I believe he will be a UFC champion. He's not the most vocal guy when it comes to post-fight press conferences, when it comes to the out of the octagon antics, and that is what's going to hold him back against a bunch of guys like, Conor McGregor tried to insert himself at 170, and while he has no business being in a title fight at 170, if he's able to, be squeaky enough, the wheel might just get the grease. So Shavkat Rakhmonov has to do everything in his power to get his hand raised in the octagon, but not only do it by decision or go out there and submit Wonderboy, but if people can go back and say, what did Shavkat do in his last fight? Oh, he knocked out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, then I believe he will cut the line and be right in there and primed up for a title shot.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a clear-cut title shot if he's able to knock out Wonderboy.